Hi everyone, and welcome to today's Dux-Soup webinar. I'm Adam Osman, Head of Marketing at Dux-Soup, and with me today, as always, are Gillian Giles of Dux-Soup and our fabulous speaker today, Tyron Giuliani of Selling Made Social. Just some quick housekeeping points before we start. Just as a reminder, this is going to be a business-focused seminar, webinar, and it's not a deep dive technical session. Everyone's on mute, but if you do have questions, just pop them in the chat box, and we'll do our best to answer these as we go. If you have any specific questions for Tyron, we'll cover those off at the end in a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Probably the most commonly asked question is, will a recording be available? And the answer is yes, a recording will be available, and it will be emailed out to everyone about 5 to 6 hours after the end of this webinar. So on to our speaker. A bit of background. Tyron, for me, is one of those rare people that genuinely backs up his position as a LinkedIn guru or a master of LinkedIn best practice. He has a wealth of practical examples, tips, and use cases that he will be talking through with you today. And these, I think, sometimes will challenge how you currently think about how you use or plan to use LinkedIn. Whenever Ty presents to the Dux community, we always get really strong feedback from our attendees. So whilst the main theme of today's presentation is about how Tyron uses Dux-Soup and LinkedIn to support a franchise model, I think the skills, techniques, and in particular the frameworks, Ty's very big on frameworks, the frameworks such as a strong connection strategy or how you can combine Dux-Soup and Pipedrive, they're equally applicable to pretty much every industry, every type of campaign. So enough from me, and I'll hand over to Tyron now.
Great, thanks, Adam. So yeah, let's get into it, guys. This is going to be fun. This is the first time I've kind of presented to anyone about my kind of one-to-one to many selling system, and it's one that has been really profitable for my business. So let's start. All right. So imagine this. You sell a B2B service for like $4,000, okay? Now, how much time and effort would it take you to sell kind of 100 clients, to get 100 clients to buy this service? And I'm just kind of giving that, this is an estimate. Many of you on the call, maybe coaches, you have high ticket services, but let's go with this kind of 4,000 model, and let's kind of run some basic numbers. So to get clients, to get 100 clients, it probably means you're going to need to make about 400 offers. Now, I know there's some people that are going to say, well, I close at 50% or 70%, whatever. The worldwide average that I've seen is around 20-25% on traffic. So imagine that 100 clients, you need to make 400 offers. That means you're probably going to have to make about 500 sales presentations, because about 100 of the people, they're just not going to be suitable for your offer. And then to get 500 bookings to turn up, you're probably going to need to have actually, had 700 people on your calendar. And that means probably around 3,500 leads. So what we're talking about, to get 100 clients to buy this $4,000 service, you're probably going to need over kind of 700 hours of work, and it's probably going to cost you about $500 to $1,500 to acquire your client. Now, I know some of you will have back-end offers and stuff that will pay for that, but that can be a pretty costly front end. Now, that's really kind of translates to a good kind of 12 months of solid daily work. And for newer solopreneurs to get 100 clients, it's probably about 2 years worth of work. That's a heck of a lot of time. So look, it's time to leverage your sales, and an effective method really is a one-to-one to many sale. So if you have a product or service that can be used by specific industry verticals, look for leverage opportunities. So rather than one-to-one selling, i.e. you sell to one company for a single use or a single purchase, sell once, but have multiple ongoing purchases. Now, these type of sales, this is where you should be looking. These can be done to franchisors, nonprofits, chambers of commerce, business kind of breakfast groups, trade organizations are an awesome one, licensing and regulatory organizations, they're fantastic, membership clubs, And then kind of contract employee organizations like financial services, wealth, financial planners, wealth managers, insurance agents, realtors. Many of them are kind of contract workers, but they're all under the umbrella of a company. So these are great kind of organizations that you can do a one-to-one to many sale. And LinkedIn is a treasure trove for this. Now, your goal, though, to be able to make this, to be able to have this occur, is that you have to appear as an authority in front of your prospect. You've got to get into daily conversation inside Messenger and on posts with your ideal prospects. And you've got to transition these prospects out of Messenger and onto a discovery or a sales call. Now, for you to achieve this, the following elements are absolutely critical. And these include 1, your offer and your profile. 2, you've got to identify your prospects. 3, you've got to get your outreach right. 4, you have to have your messaging. Then you've got to have your engagement strategies. One of them I'll show you today, just the Boomerang. You have to have your nurture strategies down pat. You need your deal management sorted out. And then finally, a 12-step kind of sales cycle, sales process. I'm going to cover all of these on this call. So I'm going to just peel back the curtain and show you all of them. Now, these are the same elements. I coach my inner circle clients, and they've produced kind of multi-8 figures in revenue for me, my firm, where I partnered, and my clients. So let's dive into these. So the first one is your offer and then your personal profile page. Guys, it's time to ditch the resume. Some of you that have heard some of my webinars before, you'll get this straight away. What's a resume used for? Well, it's used for getting a job. And what are you trying to use LinkedIn for? Getting clients. So look, a resume is the wrong tool for the job. If you are out there trying to get these major clients and you've got a resume up, you are wasting a profile space on LinkedIn. What you need to be thinking about is create a landing page or a mini website as your profile. And your page should really do the following. It should highlight the offer that you have and the key services you provide. That you should emphasize how the prospect can be the hero in this, bringing a solution to their franchise. For example, I'm going to use franchises as this example. But your profile should be talking to them and showing them how they can be the hero. It's not, I can help you do this. It's, hey, you get a chance to bring this to your organization. You're the hero in this. Your profile has to be talking to your prospect. It's not about you, it's about them. You've got to showcase your expertise through your client success stories. You bring them into the profile. Don't leave them at the bottom in the recommendations. You've got to bring them into the profile, and there's various ways to do that. You've got to tell them who you solve the problem for, what results they can expect, and how you get the results. And a really important part is the social proof elements. So what does this look like? What does it look like? Well, I'm going to show you what the experience section should kind of transform to when you actually have a client facing page. It's more like this. Now, I haven't, if you go to and find me on LinkedIn, you'll kind of see mine in detail, but you'll see that this page, it's not a work experience traditional style resume. It's showcasing 3 of the key services of the client. It has the social proof elements. It's using fonts to emulate online publications. It's a completely different way of having your profile done. Now, the impact, when you change your profile to a client-facing promotional page, what we actually see is that this format increases attention spots on the profile by 300 to 500%. It increases dwell time on a profile, which increases curiosity and interest. What you're seeing here is before and after, and I apply eye tracking heat mapping to the profiles. And what we can see is that when we transform it into a client-facing promotional page, there's more attention spots, more eyeballs on the stuff that we want them to see. It just increases conversions and acceptances, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing we've got to take care of is you've got to identify your prospects. Now, as an example, let's use selling to kind of franchisors, all right? There's so many franchises in the States. So the first thing, we've got to locate these targets. Now, the great thing about it, locating targets of like franchisors, associations, trade, it's really straightforward. There are so many public websites out there that have this data. For franchises, for example, one of the easiest is entrepreneur.com, franchise 500 2021. It lists like every franchise, 500, the top 500 franchises. This is USA based, but it gives you this list. There's so much public information out there. So the first thing, you've got to identify your prospects. Now, the beauty of like these franchises, for example, is that I took a random sampling of 50 of these franchises and I found this: 100% had representation on LinkedIn. 96% of them had the founder or key executive management on LinkedIn. 90% had multiple key decision makers on LinkedIn, and 100% had a franchisee on LinkedIn. 100% of them. They're all over the place. I just did one, for example, with Planet Fitness. We have people who are owner operators. We have people who are actually in the headquarters of it. This is the beauty. These type of clients, whether it's a trade association, a licensing, a membership, they're all there on LinkedIn. The information is all public because they're promoting themselves, right? They're not hiding the data. So it's fantastic. They're there on LinkedIn. 100% of franchisees are there on LinkedIn. So the third thing we want to do after we identify is our outreach. Now, Dux-Soup is an excellent tool for saving time on those kind of transactional tasks that take your time away as a business owner. Now, outreach includes connecting, then messaging with a prospect. Now, points to consider when you're connecting. Including a connecting note does increase acceptance. Now, I've seen some other LinkedIn people say it doesn't, don't have a connection note. That's rubbish. I don't know what they're testing. However, there are caveats to this. A great profile and a well-crafted note will see anywhere from 30 to 60% connection rates. Now, no connection note and a great profile can actually see 20 to 30% connection note. But a salesy, spammy connection note will see less than 10% getting connected. And this is where I probably see these other trainers or LinkedIn experts. They've probably tested their no note against a really, really kind of spammy and salesy note. But with a good note, you'll see a higher acceptance. Now, the pro tip: if you are seeing less than 10%, stop using your current connection note. And remember this, the connection note should have one purpose, and that's getting the person to accept. Don't ask them to take any other action in your note. All you're doing is getting them to accept. Now, Dux-Soup allows you to automate the connection notes. For you that are new to Dux-Soup, the time savings are considerable, right? You're able to go in there, you're able to fire off these notes. Now, over a year, and this is, if we look at the current limits of just 100 connection requests a week, I know LinkedIn are changing and rolling this out, but even if you just use 100 connection requests, you are likely to save a full 5 to 7 full working days on just connection notes. Literally, like Dux-Soup will save you 5 to 7 full days. I mean, you could be on vacation rather than sitting doing connection notes manually. So it's a massive time saver that you should take advantage of. Now, number 4, once you're connected, you need to get into conversation. Now, deals that never occur on LinkedIn, it's mainly due to the fact conversations never start. Getting into real conversation is critical on LinkedIn. And I'm going to show you a manual process and a method using Dux-Soup. I want you to imagine this though. Some of you might have heard this one before. The pink suited man. As Adam said, I'm based here in Tokyo. So if you came with me to Tokyo and we went to a networking event together and we walked into this massive networking room, what you're going to find is a bunch of Japanese business people, and the men are going to be in black suits, white shirt. That is like a uniform here. So imagine this, we walk into this networking event with me, but in the middle of the room, there's this guy in a pink suit, neon pink top hat. We walk straight up to that guy. What would you do? What would you say? Well, if you're normal, you'd probably ask like, wow, I love the suit, man. Like, where'd you get it? Or, wow, that's impressive. What made you wear that? You'd be asking about the pink suit. Now, I want you to imagine this. You actually use what 99% of people do on LinkedIn in the same situation. So I'm using the LinkedIn approach. This is what people would do. They'd walk up to this guy and they'd do this. Hi there, my name's Tyron. I'm the founder of Selling Made Social. I help solopreneurs and business owners get leads off LinkedIn. As you are at this marketing networking event, I wanted to see if we can talk and explore a mutually beneficial relationship. Oh, and here's a brochure you can have. And by the way, why don't you book my calendar? That's what happens every single day on LinkedIn. This message or a similar version is what I get every single day. What are you doing? You've got to observe the pink suit and start to use that to get into a real discussion. Stop ignoring all the data under your nose. And that doesn't just include what they are on LinkedIn, but looking for that person off LinkedIn, looking at YouTube, Googling that person, looking on Facebook, finding the pink suit to ask them an irresistible question that they want to answer. The guy's wearing a pink suit because he's hoping someone asks him about it. When people put posts on their social media, they're putting them because they want people to recognize and acknowledge them. No one puts a post up and says, well, I hope no one contacts me. I hope no one comments. I hope no one sees that. But for some reason, people get into LinkedIn. They totally ignore the pink suit. Now, to avoid that, I coach my clients on the use of frameworks over templated messages. So try this inside the framework that you should create. Emulate as close as possible the way a conversation actually occurs. Think about the anatomy of conversation. I'm 47 years of age. I've been using the same kind of format of conversation all my life. It goes like this: question, answer, question, answer, question. Anecdote, opinion, back to question, answer. That's how it flows. So emulate that in your frameworks. Think in terms of humor, statements of unity. Do a bit of ego rubbing, a bit of apple polishing. Think of likability. Think of pattern interrupts, unfinished loops. Use the way we speak in real life. Now, the framework, you should follow this, but it's not limited to establishing rapport with the person, discovery of the problem that they have based on your knowledge of the market, determining their fit for you, revealing a solution to their problem. And I like to coach, we use assumptive questions that get people saying no, creating an opportunity for them to ask you about the solution, and lastly, initiating a transition off of LinkedIn. Now remember, your goal is to have real discussions. Now a pro tip, and this is a great filter to use when you're doing your outreach. This one will make you money. If you wouldn't say it in real life with the person in front of you, don't type it in Messenger. It's such an easy filter. Just think to yourself, with what I know of that person, if they were standing in front of me right now, would I say this? If the answer is no, don't type it in Messenger. Stop yourself. Now here's an automation that you can use. Drip fed sequences with Dux-Soup Turbo. So I use the Turbo function. It's a great program. So Dux-Soup gives you the capacity to drip feed messages automatically if you don't have time or you don't want to do kind of manual messaging. I prefer my frameworks and doing manual messaging, but I also have some clients that they have literally hundreds of thousands of prospects on LinkedIn and they don't have the time, so they can switch to using automation. Now, this can certainly save you time and allow you to never drop the ball with your follow-up. Now, if you go this route though, I recommend a sequence following some of the best practices I've seen. And it's not like 7 emails of just trash and what you think is value, because no one is answering those messages. You know it already because you're sitting there going, yes, I've sent them and no one answered them. This is what I recommend. Email 1, it's a new email, it's emotional, there's an emotional element, and it's question-based. It's short, sharp, snappy, and it's about a major problem that you know that industry has, but it's a question-based. Email 2 is simply a bump, literally like, hey, did you see my first message? Email 3, it's another new message, it's another major point. It's a question as well, and it's an emotional one. For those that are selling anything that's saving time and money, do not lead with saving time, saving money. Everyone sells saving time, saving money. You want to hit the emotional and the outcomes. What happens when these problems aren't solved? That's what you're looking for. Email 4 is another bump. Email 5 is another new message. I like to use kind of credential forming, kind of question-based message. Number 6 is a bump again, and then the last one is the breakup email, and it can be something like, hey, there's a fine line between being persistent and a pest, I really don't wish to cross that, so this will be my final email. Because I'm telling you now, they haven't answered, they're not going to answer. They're just not, right? Not in LinkedIn. But so instead of doing these like 7 big email dumps, you really just need 3 well-crafted messages. And there's a whole lot of training behind email, of course, but this is what I've seen has worked the best across multiple industries. All right, let's move on to the engagement part. Look, I coach a very specific kind of micro-influencer engagement strategy, and it's got a number of moving parts. And it sees up to like 90+% connection acceptance. But for today, here's one basic element that I want to show you about, and it uses Dux-Soup. It's a really, really simple method, but it's actually quite powerful, and I call it the Boomerang. It's really easy, and this is one of the easiest uses of Dux-Soup I've seen. It's a basic strategy that has led to business for me and for my clients. Essentially, we will go into the market and view prospect profiles with the hope of a view back and a certain percentage sending a connection request to us. So here's how you do it. Say you've been on LinkedIn, you've allocated your hour for the day or 2 hours for the day. Hopefully you're using a workflow process, but you've allocated time. And at the end of the session, you haven't viewed many profiles, probably less than 200 in the day. So what I like to do is run what's called a boomerang. So run a search, sort by active, get your list of people, and then have Dux-Soup simply visit these on autopilot. Hit the top button, visit profiles, right? So do your search of the prospects that you're looking for or the leads that you already have, bring the search up, sort by most active, always go with the active players. Stop chasing people that are dead and dormant on LinkedIn. It's not worth your time. It's not worth your mental space. And then you just hit visit. Dux-Soup is going to fire off and just start to visit those profiles. Now, the good thing with a strong profile, if you have reframed your profile and you've visited very targeted people, these are your ideal client prospects, you could see about a 1 to 3% view back. So these people are actually looking at you. And you will get connection requests, and this can lead to business deals. Now, don't underestimate time and volume. And I like to always, go out a year, 2 years, 3 years in these strategies. In a year, you could visit 36,000 prospects automatically using Dux-Soup. 36,000 people you could go and essentially kind of tap on their shoulder. That could lead to 360 to about 1,000 odd inbound connections. And that could mean about 150 to 400 conversations with inbound targeted prospects. Now, if just 1 in 30 converted, that's 5 to 13 deals a year. If you've got a 5K offer, there's 25K to 65K. And they're all freebies. They've come to you just by simply at the end of each day on LinkedIn, boom, use Dux-Soup, hit the visit profiles on a list, let it run, does it for you. It's awesome. Number 6, you aren't building a museum. I see so many people collect connections and then they just put them on the shelf and they do nothing with it. Now they say the money is in your list. Well, it also applies here on LinkedIn. The money is in your network. The money is in your connections. And this is where Dux-Soup can help tremendously. What I see with the current situation when people are connecting is they're stripping data from LinkedIn. They connect, they then strip the contact details, they then put it in some kind of automation email software, whether it, MailChimp or Mailshake or whatever, and then they send email campaigns. Now, what are the results? Well, these are the results from MailChimp, and they've done it, they've surveyed millions, hundreds of millions of emails. Usually, an open rate of 15 to 25% is kind of worldwide open rate with an average of 21%. So this means almost 80% of the people that you're sending a message to, they're not even seeing it. They're not even opening it. They're deleting it in their inbox. Now, how many emails did you look at when you open up your email today? Did you just like delete, 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 delete? I did a check. I did 27 before 10 o'clock this morning. 27. I didn't even look. There's some stuff I've subscribed to, some message I know it's like, it's not going to be for me. Delete, delete, delete. Now, how about this? When you turn on LinkedIn and across the top, you see this nice little red dot above messaging. What do? You open it. It's almost impossible not to open. I mean, it's like catnip. So what does this mean? Well, messages in LinkedIn have near 100% open rate. And let that sink in. You can 5x your open rates with the same people by doing it on LinkedIn, by messaging and nurturing and doing campaigns on LinkedIn. Just think of yourself. When have you not opened Messenger when that red dot's been above it? I open it always, and I've been on LinkedIn since April 2004. There is not one time I've not opened that red dot. So employ Dux-Soup for this strategy. 1, highlight the key services that you provide. Prepare a list of 3 pieces of content a month. Now, quality is key here. What you should be doing is looking for content that isn't Googleable, right? You want to find content maybe from the market. If you're in the market prospecting every day, you're going to hear gossip. You're going to hear tidbits about the industry, about competitors. Jot it down. And what you want to do is turn that content into article posts inside LinkedIn. So this is an example. I turned some content into an article post. I make an intro paragraph that would have a hook. Okay, it's got a hook to capture the person that's going to open it. I copy the paragraph, and then I take the share link from the article, and I put that in the message, right? It's a paragraph. It's got a hook about what this content is, and it's got a share link to this article. Then I go to Dux-Soup, go to the options and actions, and I insert the message for my first connections, right? I just chuck it in there. Then I hit visit, bang, it just sends out this message. Now, the great thing about it is that you could easily nurture about 1,500 key A players inside LinkedIn monthly with about 3 to 4 messages. How's that? That's pretty cool. Like literally 3 to 4 times a month, a core group of like 1,500. These are people you've spoken to, they're ideal prospects, they're just not ready yet to buy from you. They could be hearing from you 3 to 4 times a month with really good content, stuff that they just can't Google, stuff that you've discovered from your prospecting, from your engagement in the market. It keeps you top of mind. And the beauty of it, you're gonna see almost 100% open rate. That's just awesome. It just gives you more chance for conversion. It keeps people inside LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn like that. So with your message that you're nurturing automatically to them, you're not sending them to an off LinkedIn site, you're keeping them in LinkedIn. LinkedIn's liking it, the person's engaging with you, it's adding visibility to you, you get rewarded from LinkedIn, plus it's all automated. It's all automated. And the great thing about this is when someone replies to your message inside Messenger, it's a part of a trigger for the algorithm that tells them, hey, this person likes you. And what it means is when you do a post, they're going to see your post on their news feed because LinkedIn is a relevancy-based algorithm. And when they see your post and it's an interesting post and they engage on that, it means for about a week and a half, your posts are going to be continue to be shown on their news feed. So this is a great way to nurture A players, stay top of mind, have almost 100% open rates, and it's just golden. And it's done automatically. I love it. Dux-Soup is awesome for this. Next one is deal management. Now, after prospecting, you need to manage your deals. And the ideal solution, well, I like Dux-Soup Turbo and Pipedrive, but I've seen now that, Dux-Soup they've HubSpot. There was another one, I can't, it's off the top of my mind, Adam, but I can't remember which one it was, but there's a number of new CRMs that Dux-Soup is now integrating with. So find the one that you've already been using, but if you're, choosing one for the first time, I recommend Pipedrive. Pipedrive is a great sales CRM. It's been used for years by many, many sales professionals. It's quite inexpensive. It's like 25 bucks or something a month, but it's really, really powerful. And as I said, they've now got real easy integration between the two, Dux-Soup, Turbo, and Pipedrive. And how it works for me, in a nutshell, basically, you can search and target ideal clients in LinkedIn. And when you visit them and you send a connection request with Dux-Soup Turbo, everyone that I visit and send a request to, they get passed or sucked into my Pipedrive account. Now, as soon as the prospect accepts my connection request on LinkedIn and becomes a first degree, they automatically get moved from like the storage area of Pipedrive into a deal pipeline. So I never miss a prospect I should follow up on. And then you can easily visually manage the deal flow. And you can operate with Pipedrive and LinkedIn open at the same time. So it kind of looks like this. I'll have connected, message, responded, meeting, proposal, lost one, nurture A players. And it does it all automatically. It sucks it in. As soon as a person becomes connected to me, bang, it puts that person in the connected deal part. When I open up my Pipedrive in the morning, it's got all the fresh people that have been connected. They're the ones I know I have to message. Then I just go message them and I slide them across to message. It's really easy to manage your deals. So some highlights of Dux-Soup Turbo with Pipedrive, contact records. Both the LinkedIn.com and the Sales Navigator messages are consolidated into one area. So when you actually have a contact in Pipedrive, and for those that use Sales Navigator and LinkedIn.com, you'll know that they're two separate inboxes and sometimes you miss messages. Well, Pipedrive consolidates it in one record, which is really, really cool. Now, when someone messages you on LinkedIn, your Pipedrive records and creates an activity notification. So you can have it set for alerts. So anyone messages you, bang, you get an alert for that. Now, it also means you can replicate your entire LinkedIn sales funnel inside Pipedrive. Now, this is good insurance in case of a bit of a catastrophe. Imagine if you get booted off LinkedIn. LinkedIn does that. LinkedIn have booted off one of the most successful people on LinkedIn ever. He got booted off and has never been able to return. Now, imagine if you lost all your A players tomorrow. How would your life look? Pipedrive and Dux-Soup Turbo give you that chance to kind of do a backup of everything. It also, there's great support. The chat support, the help desk support of Pipedrive, and of course Dux-Soup is excellent. They go above and beyond to get a solution. They really do. I've never had issues with either one. And it's all drop and drag, really, really easy. And it integrates with all kind of major email providers. It also does automated SMSs. You can do ringless calling. And Pipedrive can act as your total CRM marketing tool. And use it to house not only LinkedIn leads, but leads from all your other sources. So if you have some paid leads, if you're running Facebook ads, if you have some telemarketing, you can all feed them into Pipedrive as well. So it's not just for LinkedIn, it can literally be your CRM for all your sales leads. Now, putting it all together, we've discussed some technical considerations and how Dux-Soup can massively amplify your results. But let me give you the high-level steps you can emulate to secure one-to-one to many sales. And there's really 12 steps. And I'm going to use the franchisor model. Now, this works for any kind of mass organization, right? Whether it's a chamber of commerce, whether it's a trade association, a licensing registration. So, you know, some of these associations have national licenses that you must have. This works, but I just want to use it for franchises, right? Different franchise. And remember at the start, I showed you a list of 500 that you can find publicly. Once you've done all this and you've got these people, once you've got the franchisor that you're speaking to, and maybe he's got 500 franchisees, you want to sell to them. This is a 12-step process that I use, and it worked wonders. The first thing, you've got to lock down your offer and messaging of that offer, both on LinkedIn and all your other social channels. So if you have an offer that's suitable for a franchise, for example, or a chamber of commerce or a trade organization, whatever it is, you've got to have it locked down, really clear, and you've got to start promoting across all your channels. What you've got to do is then identify, connect, and engage with a franchisor. I'm not talking about the people that are the franchisee. I'm talking about the guy who owns the franchise. And as I said, the stats show so many of them are actually on LinkedIn. Once you have that franchisor, you want to conduct your sales presentation or your discovery with that franchisor. And what I recommend that you do is that you suggest that you offer some kind of pilot program. If you're a coach or if you're a trainer or whatever like that, offer something where you can do a pilot with a group of people. Once they agree to that, it's your job then is to prepare video sales letter, prepare email drafts for the franchisor. You prepare everything for that person so he can go or she can go and recruit 5 to 10 pilot franchisees, right? So if you've got a coaching program, for example, one of the things I have. Now the pilot franchisees, they're paying customers. Don't do it for free, because like anything, if someone comes into your program for free, they're not going to do it. So it's still got to be, you know, you're not going to make money off it, but you still want them to pay. And I recommend about 25% of the usual cost. Now, with the understanding, you're giving them this massive discount, with the understanding that they're going to provide feedback on your training to increase, you know, success rates when you execute this on the full rollout. And you're going to get an honest video testimonial for, you know, marketing and sales use. So these initial 5 to 10 people, they're coming on board at a massive discount. They're going to give you feedback and they're going to give you a video testimonial. So step 6, you're going to conduct your training, whatever your program is, whatever it is, with the pilot franchisees. Accountability and involvement of your franchisor is critical. I'd get that franchisor, if possible, to attend any kind of training that you might do. Maybe you're doing it live on Zoom or whatever. Try to get them to attend, because that way they're going to see how you interact with the franchisees. Now, assessment and feedback of the pilot for rollout. So once you finish your pilot, you want to make sure you check in, what were the results? What are the, what came out of it? How good did these guys like, or girls like, your program? Make any adjustments as needed, and once it's approved, then you can start the rollout. And with the rollout, what I recommend you do, for example, is you prepare a webinar or training for the franchisee, for the franchise with social proof. So what you're going to do is you're going to make a webinar and you're going to present it to the franchise, the entire franchise. You're going to have social proof that's going to come from your pilot members. If you can, and you're doing a live kind of webinar, involve the franchisor and the pilot franchisees in any kind of Q&A at the end of the presentation. All right. So on that presentation, you're having a chance to present it to everyone, say 500 people, 1,000 people, could be on a meeting, could be on a webinar, could be live, whatever. But you're presenting it to everyone, and you've got the pilot members there, and they're going to be helping you with kind of Q&A. Then after the end of that presentation, you want this automated. You want to drive all the attendees to kind of a landing page. And on that landing page, that has the details of your program, of your training, of your product, whatever it is. It's got all the video testimonials of those 10 pilot franchisees, and it's got a payment page. You're going to then automate all your onboarding into your membership site, into your program, into your training, whatever it is. It's all got to be automated, right? So they go, and after they've had that presentation, they're going in, they're pumped up, they're going, they're pressing buy. You're going to then have follow-up email sequences for those that attended, and you should have a replay option for those that didn't attend. Okay, so you're going to have people that are going to watch, your presentation, but they should get the same experience. Now, if a partnership is formed with your franchisor, have your collateral included in their website, on their intranet, right, with access to your landing and sign up page. Your program then becomes kind of ingrained as a service within that franchise. And then the sales come automatically, because every time that person joins that franchise, your franchisor is going to be promoting you and your service or your product or your training. They're going to be sending them to these established recordings, these replays of your webinar. They're going to be sending them to the established landing page. And every month, as the franchisor signs up new franchisees, or the trade organization, or the Chamber of Commerce, you get them popping up in your program for free. You didn't have to do a sales call. You didn't have to have a cost of acquisition at $500 to $1,500. It's done automatically. So that's the 12 steps that I recommend. Now, I'm almost done. So to recap, for you to sell and succeed on LinkedIn in a one-to-one to many world, you need to appear as the authority in front of your prospects. And you need to get into daily conversation inside Messenger and on post with your ideal prospects. You need to transition prospects out of Messenger and onto discovery sales calls. Now, these elements all need to be considered, and Dux-Soup can amplify results for all of them. Your offer, your profile, identifying prospects, outreach, messaging, engagement, nurture, deal management, and a 12-step sales process. All right, so that concludes my presentation. If you're interested to learn more about LinkedIn sales funnels, you can email me at admin@sellingmadesocial.com. It goes to me. I will be the one responding. If you've got questions about it, just reach out to me, and I'm happy to kind of have a discussion with you. So there we have it, one-to-one to many sales with LinkedIn and Dux-Soup. And we can open up to questions if we have some questions, Adam.
Thank you very much for the presentation. We have quite a few, let's start with one of the users was late and he was very confused what you meant by a bump. Would you be able to clarify?
Oh yeah, the bump is literally you'll have message one where you'll say, hey, blah, blah, blah. The bump is, did you see my message? It's bumping your message back to the top of their message box. So literally, you're out of a sequence of 7 emails, 3 are going to be original emails, the rest will be bumps, and then there's the breakup email.
Thank you. Another question. Are you doing just LinkedIn messaging or are you also sending emails as well? For every message you send on LinkedIn, do you also send a follow-up email? And does the 100 connection request limit interfere with doing the Boomerang strategy?
All right, so there's a lot there. You can obviously, if you're not having luck on getting through on Messenger, you can run email campaign separate, but of course you need to strip and get the contact details. Being omnipresent and doing multiple ways of contacting people is always great. The reality is, I just find with the people that I target, because remember, when I go after prospects, I'm not going after just anyone on LinkedIn. I'm going after active players in a very niche, specific space. They're participating on LinkedIn because there's enough of them. I don't need to go after everyone. I just need to go after the people who actually play on LinkedIn, because they're more likely to respond. They're more likely to open up messages, to put content out. So, choose your targets for LinkedIn. Now, if the person that you're going after, they're not there, they're not participating, yeah, then I'd go after, if I really want them as a client, I'm going to follow up with email. I'm going to send lump email by post. I'll do that. Now, the 100 person limit doesn't affect the Boomerang method. And remember, you can still, even with the current limit, there's ways around that already discovered, right? You can do 100 a week, so there's 400 there. You're able to also send messages to people that are open profiles. You're able to send messages in groups. You're able to take out, get emails and send messages. So you can still do about 2,000 a month outreach on LinkedIn via the different techniques, whether it's a group one, an in-mail, open, stripping emails. So don't be limited. Now, if your only technique is just to send out a whole heap of messages and try to connect, then you're missing the point on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a sales funnel. If you watch in the webinar, see on the Dux-Soup website, they have one of my other presentations. It's on the LinkedIn Dance. Highly recommend. Go and watch that, because LinkedIn, it's a sales funnel. It comprises of direct outreach, authority building through your profile, nurture, content, engagement, and putting it all together in a workflow process. It's not just one element on LinkedIn that makes you successful. It's firing off and doing the activities of all of those pieces every week and doing a part of it to get a total result, right? It's all these little activities that you do. It's the whole of them that actually produces a result. You can't just do a post and say, well, I'm going to get people reaching out to me. They won't. You can't just do reach out and hope people reply. They won't. You can't just do engagement and hope you're going to make money. You won't. You can't. You have to do all these different elements, and that's why I call it a LinkedIn sales funnel. So if you haven't watched my other webinar, it's in the Dux-Soup website. It's the LinkedIn Dance. You'll get another heap of perspective from of how you should run strategy on LinkedIn.
Thank you. Another question would be, do you think you get more value by running Sales Navigator, or so that it doesn't send in mail and instead sends a message?
Well, InMail, I mean, the great thing about InMail is obviously you don't have to be connected to that person to actually message them. And I think with Sales Navigator, you get 20 of them a month, or 15, 20 of them a month. It accrues for 3 months, I think, to the maximum of 60, and then just stays at 60. Now, the annoying thing, if you want to buy InMails, they cost $10 each, right? So effectively, you're getting like $200 worth of InMails a month with your membership. So you should use them. And again, you can also send InMails to open people that have got open networks. So it means they accept any message. They accept messages from anyone. If you have a premium account, if they have their profile set to open, you don't even need to have an InMail. I mean, yeah, use them up if you don't want to go through that connection process. It's just, you're giving them for free. So I rarely see, depending on how you do it, I actually like using Messenger because I like using pattern interrupts in my messages, and it's a little bit harder with InMail, I've noticed. So actually I get more bang for my buck just using Messenger, to be honest.
Thank you. So what are you saying? Do we need Sales Navigator for what you have showed us today, or would free LinkedIn suffice?
I mean, if you are serious about using LinkedIn as a source for client generation, then yeah, I mean, get Sales Navigator. It's crazy. It's like stepping onto a Formula One track in a Volkswagen Beetle. I mean, you just wouldn't do it. So if you're like, well, it's $70 or $80, I mean, come on. One deal pays for it for 5 years. So Sales Navigator, when you have the right strategies, it truly, and if you've got great strategies, it amplifies everything. There's so many aspects of Sales Navigator. When you layer a good strategy over the top, it is so powerful. Yes, sometimes it can be glitchy, but Sales Navigator truly is massively powerful. I mean, you can, just the filtering, you could filter for someone. For example, you could say, I want to find CEOs of startups that are less than 2 years, have revenues of $5 million, have had headcount of 100 people, have grown, their headcount have grown 25%, in the last year. The CEO did a post and he used the word expense reduction, and they use software, Salesforce software, and they were featured in the news in the last 90 days. That's how granular you can get with Sales Navigator. That's just incredible. So, don't be cheap. Get Sales Navigator. Come from a place of abundance. Once you have it and you have great strategies that you layer on top, it's really, really powerful.
Thank you. Do you use the same email cadence and messaging on LinkedIn? In other words, are you inputting six messages into Turbo, first one, highlights, offer? No.
When I do my messaging, the framework that I use it's not a drip fed message. The drip fed message one that I showed you, it's, if you just have no time, you can't, maybe you're working full time and you're trying to start some side hustle or something. If you've got no time to allocate, then, use a drip fed, use Dux-Soup, use that, the drip fed feature. It's, you're going to get low conversion, but it's, if you run it every day, you'll get results slowly. When I do my messaging, I do it manually, and I use a specific framework to get into conversation. It's called messaging. It's not called inbox. If you look at LinkedIn, look at the title, it says messaging. So what does that mean? Well, it's a message. This is the beauty of messaging on LinkedIn. If you use it properly and you come at it differently, it's not an inbox. So I don't like to use direct email strategies in Messenger. Now imagine to compare it, if you're on Facebook and the Messenger, do you send emails in Facebook? No. You just use chat. It's the same thing. When you get over that kind of feeling on LinkedIn, you get to set the tonality of your conversations. And I like to go in emulating real life. I use pattern interrupts. I look for that pink suit. I ask them an irresistible question. I stack like a normal human on anything they give me. I ask that other question. Then I transition into identifying a problem and getting them telling me, yeah, that's something they suffer from. Awesome. And then I'm asking them, how do they solve it? They tell me, well, I haven't. And then I'm telling them, wow, really? Well, that can be solved. And then they're saying, how, Tyron? Well, I'm glad you asked. Hey, I've got a minute now. Let's get onto a phone call. Now, do they all go like that? No, I wish they did. But that's a framework that you can use over and over again, and it converts better than any drip-fed sequence I've ever seen. And it emulates the natural anatomy of a conversation. That's where people are going wrong in messaging all the time. They are not emulating real life. That's why it feels so. What is spammy and salesy? It's just that feeling we have, right? Well, that feeling is because it's not congruent with the way we communicate in real life every day of our lives. And for 46 years of my life that I've been able to speak, I've used a certain way to communicate. And suddenly you go in LinkedIn and you throw it away and you use these robotic, horrible, messages and just mutual benefit, book a call with me. It's horrible. It never converts unless that person is so desperate and you just manage to luck across them that they needed what you have. You've got to start seeing LinkedIn Messenger as a conversation, as an instant messaging, and it is instant messaging because you can see real time. You can see the person when they're writing. It has the 3 dots. You can see the person has read your message with the little profile photo, the bottom right hand corner of the message. Start to see it like that. Start conversations, but have a framework that you can lead people through. You don't just go in there and start talking, because what happens is lots of people die in LinkedIn because they start a conversation and they stay in situational questions. You're going back and forth asking all these questions, and then the person goes quiet and just stops. And you're like, oh, we were having such a great conversation. No, they're thinking, what's happening? What does this person want? When's the pitch coming? Right? I see so many conversations stall out, and then the person says, oh, they were responding to me. Now they've gone quiet. They've ghosted me. Yeah, because you wore out your welcome. Everyone who's a player on LinkedIn knows what it's about. People are selling, people are buying. Most people are trying to sell, right? So you stay honest about what you're trying to do, but do it in a way where it's very, very natural. And that's something I've perfected since April 2004. And my firm, we took out over 22 million bucks off LinkedIn organically, right? Using these same kind of methods of outreach. It's not drip-fed messages didn't do us anything good. It just doesn't work.
Thank you very much. Just shifting tone a little bit. Do you recommend LinkedIn ads to webinars, or?
Can you say that again?
So the question is, do you recommend LinkedIn ads to webinars?
Oh, LinkedIn ads. I don't run paid media on LinkedIn. When I was a partner in an executive recruitment firm for 14, 15 years, we did everything organically. And this is before the, paid advertising came on to LinkedIn. This is their third permutation of LinkedIn ads. LinkedIn ads are great. They can work very well. It tends to be if your service or product has about a lifetime value of about 15,000 bucks. Under that, I'd probably not go with the LinkedIn ads. It is a lot of work, a lot of testing. You can chew through your money really, really quick. So if you're going to go through the LinkedIn ad option, test, do it on small scale. Be prepared to run about 5 to 6K worth of ads, to kind of get your data. And as I said, anything under about 15K is a lifetime value. I probably wouldn't go with the LinkedIn ads. But that's not my specialty, so I don't want to kind of go deeper into that, because it's just my opinion, not fact that I'm talking.
Thank you. Is having videos of yourself talking about a topic effective or waste of time, in your opinion?
Videos as posts, yeah, look, they're great. I mean, there's some really awesome people that have come onto LinkedIn now, these video producers and video, that's what their job is. And they've changed, LinkedIn forever, right? Because they're funny, they're well produced, they're really cool. The great thing about video for most of us, it does get higher engagement. I've had like 6 to 9% engagement on videos. However, the viewership is relatively low. So less people will see it, but more of those people will engage. I think with a content mix, I do recommend my clients doing a mix of video, poll post, document post, text post, image post. We have a certain matrix that we follow, having a combination, and then playing to your strength. If you're great on video and you're great at producing them, then do it by all means. Do more of it. It's great. If you kind of stink on video, don't force yourself. Like, play to your strengths. If you're better at writing, text posts that are personal, they will get more visibility. They will get share. They'll get about anywhere from a 0.5 to a 2% engagement. If you're really good and got a really engaged network, you could get up to 4 or 5% engagement on it. But you can get thousands, tens of thousands of views on text posts, way more often than on a video post. But play to your strength and think about your audience. What do they like to consume? And you can get data. Shield, I think it's called shieldapp.io, is a great content analytics tool. It will show you all your posts, shows you the engagement percentage, shows you visibility, and then you can start to see, well, hey, my audience, they really like, text posts that have got one picture, or hey, they really like videos. And then that's where you double down on, let your audience kind of teach you of what you should give more of and what you're comfortable with.
Thank you. What platform do you use for the 12-step sales process, and would you be able to expand?
I actually use ClickFunnels for that, but I mean, there's so many of them out there now. Go high level, whatever. Generally, I've had to construct, a couple of landing pages for the franchisor, one for me, one for him. The mission is make it as easy as possible for that franchisor or the trade association or whoever to work with you. But I've used ClickFunnels for, if you have membership site, you can use Kajabi. I use Members Pro. It's a newer platform, and I found it just really super easy for me. I'm not technical, so producing a membership site was really fast. Members Pro, it's called. That's quite good. But yeah, ClickFunnels or any kind of landing page software will help. And then payment, whatever your merchants are, whether you've got Stripe, PayPal if you have your own merchant accounts. But try to have it all automated. That's the key. That's what's going to save you time, is that people can be driven to sites where they can get that extra little bit of education, where they can find that little bit more information to get them over the line. And the beauty of it, you just cut out your sales. Your sales aren't done because the franchise is providing, is supporting you, is promoting you. They're sending the messages that you've prepared. It's just beautiful. It saves so much time, so much energy, and so much money.
Thank you very much. We have quite a few questions. People asking, how do you approach transition from LinkedIn messages to a phone call?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the transition part is a really critical part. I use assumptive-based questions. I will ask a question that I know the answer will be no. 99% of the time it's no. And I'm getting them. I'm setting up my conversation. All my conversation framework is set up so they say to me, would that work for me? Or how do you do that? So I never will say to anyone in Messenger, do you need coaching on LinkedIn? I never have that conversation. It is always set up where they're asking me, oh, how do you do that? How does that work? Would that work for me? And then I'm able to transition. I recommend a good little tip is, you're setting time, you're blocking your time for prospecting. And what I do, I want to get that person usually a 2-step call. They're on LinkedIn. I've confirmed they have a problem. It's a problem I solve. They haven't solved it yet. I can solve it for them. They're asking me about it. I'll look at my clock and I'll think 15 minutes out. I'll say, hey, I've got a call in literally 15 minutes. Do you want to just jump on a call right now? We'll just have a quick initial chat. I get them on that call and I'm asking them, just confirming, hey, you have this problem. What have you done to solve it? Are you looking to solve it? Great, tell me about it, just briefly. Then I'm telling them, man, you remind me of, my client Don. He's a CPA down in Florida. We transformed him. He's now the real estate CPA. He got 20 clients in the 3-week period. What I'm hearing about you is exactly like him. So yeah, I think you'd be a fit for us. Let's schedule a time. So even if I have time, I'm scheduling it. I'm doing that first 15-minute kind of 2-step call, and then I'm scheduling a good 45 minutes discovery, and I try to do it that same day. But what I'm doing is I'm having that first call, because in that gap between that call and my discovery call, I'm going to send them a link to some material for them to look at. But I'm not overloading them. I have something that's prepared that I can just capture their interest and give them some high level stuff, and then I'm doing that discovery, that kind of full discovery, and then we go to pitch, right, to make a pilot and stuff like that. But I find that best. You want to have that follow-up call as soon as possible to that first initial call, while they're still because on that call you want to say, yeah, man, we can solve this. You're exactly like my other client. Exciting, man. There's so much potential for you. So you want that next call. You have got permission then. You are going to be selling to them. They know that second call is a sales call. They've agreed to it and they're all jacked up. They're excited because you're the solution. So don't set it for 2 days later or 3 days later, because then it becomes a task. And they might oh, well, I don't really need to solve that problem. You really want to try to get it say, look, I'm going to just be on this call for an hour. So do you have can we, get back to you in an hour's time? But I want them jazzed. I want them really hyped for that second call. And I would have done some screening. If they say to me in that first 15 minutes, we're not really looking to solve it. And, yeah, we're kind of thinking about it, maybe in third quarter, I'll just say, look, that sounds awesome. Let's, I'm going to send you some information and I'll do some follow up later, blah, 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 do the usual. But I don't want to give them an hour of my time if they're thinking this is a solution 3 quarters away. Just waste your time. Just waste your time. So be merciless with your time. And I find the 2-step works really well.
Thank you very much. And the last question, is there any advice that you can give or pillars to have a good sales page? So on LinkedIn profile in About Us section.
The About section is one tiny section of your profile. 50% of people don't even open the About section of your profile. If you want to look at just doing a profile, it's one part of your funnel. That's it. It rarely drives business. It's all the other activities. A great looking profile supports the funnel, right? If you go to, I have a site called profilereboot.com. I explain more there about a profile. So profilereboot.com, that explains more. You can also look at me on LinkedIn. You'll see how I've got mine structured. It will give you kind of clues. I like to emulate online publications. Online publications use subtitles. They use bolding subtitles and fonts. They talk in bite-sized chunks of information. It's not large sections of text. They use titles like who, what, when, why, how. I use the same. I want to make it super easy for a reader who lands on my page to work out what I do, who I do it for, how I do it, and that I've done it for others like them. So that's how you should be thinking. the majority of your profile is the experience section, not the about section. It's the experience section. So if you think, well, I just do my about section, that's great. As I said, half of people don't even open it up. They scroll down. I've done this study and testing of how people use LinkedIn. They scroll down, they have a look, they'll skip that, and they'll go down to the experience sections. And that's why I use the experience sections like a landing page. And I'm not a chronological reverse ordered resume. Mine is a landing page. Yeah, and it highlights my key services, what that service is, how they can use it, what they can expect from it, what other people are saying about it. Yeah, so start seeing your profile. If you are selling on LinkedIn to clients, start having a sales page, not a resume. No one cares what you did 10 years ago. They just don't. They care what you can do for them. They only care when they know you can help them. That's just the cruel world. People don't care about you. They just care about themselves and what you could do for them. So that's what you want to replicate on your page, what you can do for them. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, Tyron. I think once again, you've delivered a webinar that's absolutely packed full of advice, tips, and things I think that people can use and transfer to their own particular sales circumstances. I think the feedback from the questions and also some of the comments is that it's been a very useful webinar. I think there's a reason why people go back and look at the recording again and again, is that there are so many different things that you can use. Some of these tips can really make a big difference to how you're using LinkedIn for lead generation. So if you do have any other questions after you've had a chance to review the recording, just drop us an email. But that's everything. I just want to say once again, thank you to Tyron. I know it's probably well past 1 o'clock in the morning your time, but it's been a pleasure listening to you share some of these best practices, and hopefully we'll have you back again as a webinar speaker again before too long.
Thanks, Adam. That's been great. Really appreciate it.
And everyone else, thank you and goodbye.
Good night. Cheers.